The shameless Republican Party in Ohio, just shameless, is trying to overturn the overwhelming majority of the people's will in that state. This past week, 57% turned out to enshrine a woman's right to choose her own healthcare, a woman's right to privacy with their own healthcare. So Lindsey Graham, incel Tim Scott, and all these other right-wing weirdos can't pry into her very personal matters. To get 57% of the vote in a red state in this modern era on an issue that Republicans have pumped in for, I don't know, my entire life, farther than me, 60, 70 years, to get 57% of the vote is an overwhelming majority. If you were one of those poor souls that believed when the Republicans said, we're going to send it back to the states, we're going to send abortion back to the states, let them decide. Well, this is the states deciding. And what does your Christo-fascist Republican Party immediately do? Immediately do. As soon as these laws are enshrined, as soon as women's rights are protected. But if you did believe the Republicans and they'll leave it up to the states, well, I got some Trump NFTs to sell you. So stay tuned to the end. We'll have a bid. And former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum. If you don't know who Rick Santorum is, look up Santorum. And if you need a little more help, look up Santorum with the word froth. You're welcome.
And you put very sexy things like abortion and marijuana on the ballot, and a lot of young people come out and vote. It was a secret sauce for disaster in Ohio. I don't know what they were thinking, but
secret sauce.
That's why I thank goodness that most of the states in this country don't allow you to put everything on the ballot, because pure democracies are not the way to run a country.
So then you're...
So a couple things. If you've had time to look up the word Santorum, this man should never be using the term secret sauce. I mean, get a thesaurus, but I wouldn't. Second off, to reduce one of the hardest decisions a woman ever has to make in her life, the decision to get an abortion, and reduce that to like a sexy issue? I mean, what? Newsmax? Have you guys lost your goddamn minds? There's such a disconnect between the propaganda on the right and the actual culture in this country. Santorum got his name because he didn't want gay people to get married like 15 years ago. Here's an idea. How about you mind your own fucking business? Because I'll tell you what, if the script was flipped and they came in and they're like, oh, Lena Dunham is going to be in charge of all your choices now, Chad. Anything you want to do with your doctor, clear it through Lena Dunham first. You bet your ass I'm waiting in line to vote against that. For as long as it takes. But this is the Republican Party. Outdated ideas. No vision for the future. And yet at the end they don't want to govern. They still want to rule. And ham-fisted authoritarian moves like this on top of just one of the worst gerrymandered states ever. I mean, have you seen Jim Jordan's district? And grown up in Utah, in a small coal mining town, this sentiment that Rick is saying is what they all say. We don't want mob rule. We don't want mob rule. But here's the mob to me. This minority of people that are constantly uprooting and destroying the vision of the majority in this country. If some theocrat in Ohio, if some theocrat in Wyoming, Utah, wherever doesn't want to have an abortion, don't have an abortion. But it's an issue in this country that polls around 65% approval rating. And I mean, as we're seeing in these red states, it's not just Ohio, Kansas. They showed out in Kansas. So when I hear frothy Santorum say pure democracies aren't a way to run a country, and try to discount 57% of you Ohioans, that's who he's talking about. We're a republic. We're not a democracy. I mean, it's very familiar and it's low effort. I mean, Republicans don't even understand that a republic is a form of democracy, and we're actually a Madisonian democratic republic. But I digress because, I can't go into it for the 400th time. And the crux of this radical, theocratic Republican Party is that they don't want people to vote anymore. I mean, that's it, right? That's what January 6th was about. That's what, them overturning the will of the people about. That's what him dragging out this tired line about we're not a direct democracy is all about. And don't get me wrong, Rona Romney is trash. But the Republicans are trying to drag her out as the reason for this. Like, they just don't get it. Here, let's watch.
RNC,
by the way, all your money,
turnout machine, right? We're not the messengers. We don't create the messages for the campaigns. Those are the consultants who get very, very well paid.
Well, one of the things, though, Ronna, that happened was, I think in Virginia, people were wondering where the money was, whether they were going to get some help from the RNC.
Ooh,
and I know at one point you said that you were not asked for money in Virginia, but a source, Republican source familiar with the Youngkin team in Virginia, told the Angle late tonight that that is false. And meaning your story keeps changing. Anyone who thinks Virginia Republicans wouldn't want help when we knew we'd be outspent isn't being serious. Ronna, they were outspent by $8 million.
Glenn Youngkin and did a phenomenal job, and he raised a lot of money. A lot of people don't understand fundraising. I can't raise state dollars. I don't get unlimited convention and state dollars. And these were state House and state Senate races. The RNC is a federal committee. So, I mean, come on. Can you just, these are people who come after me all the time. They're on Twitter. They're all the time. And let's see their results. What did they do in Virginia? How much money did they give?
All right. So in usual fashion, Republicans missed the point. You got Skeletor on there. She's got a cross on today. I mean, is this a news network? Is this like the Bible channel? You got her cross on, and she's yelling at Rona, Big Rona, Mitt Romney's cousin, because she didn't give enough money in Virginia. The party that gave us Citizens United, their train of thinking is, if we could just inundate you enough propaganda. Oh, they raised $8 million more. They raised $8 million more from small donors because people in Virginia don't want these draconian laws coming to them. Republicans spent a full year crying about Bud Light. And now that actual laws are happening that affect people's lives, affect women in your life, women close to you, daughters, sisters, wives, moms. Now that those chickens are coming home to roost, those theocratic right-wing zealots are finally getting their payday for supporting this party. The Republicans know that they can't sever ties with that base. The thing about the Republican Party is it is a Frankenstein. Yeah, it's a monster, but it's a Frankenstein of different radical groups stitched together. There's no try to name a single ideology in the Republican Party. Your white nationalists stitched together with the theocrats, stitched together with your cultural warriors. And all that provides a shell for what the Republican Party really is, what we all know it is. And that's just tax breaks for billionaires. That's the only thing they care about. This is all fodder, right? So when one of these comes home to roost, when it happens like it's happening right now, they don't know what to do. And we should all be scared that their first inclination, their first instinct is to not look inward. But their first instinct is take away people's votes. And the thing about fascism and fascists, it's not sustainable. And it's a ticking time bomb. Because the one thing you learn about fascism is it eventually starts turning inward. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube. The Chud Report. Go look up Santorum.
I thank goodness that most of the states in this country don't allow you to put everything on the ballot because pure democracies are not the way to run a country.
So then